Hey guys, and welcome to our third episode of Wiki Talks. Today we are going to be speaking on the topic of Youth Skills Day, and if you are somebody who's still in your youth, this video is just for you. Because we are going to be speaking to somebody who is super passionate about quizzing, took an unconventional path in his life, and honestly he's so interested in imparting knowledge and education to different people. Meet Mr. Shaktivel, who is the person we are going to be speaking to today, who is currently working as a user experience designer and researcher, but he's also worked at Fully Filmy, Level Up and Thinnai Talkies, which are various different kinds of community building activities and ways for him to impart education. As I said, he's a very curious person, and this Youth Skills Day, we as well are curious to know what he is going to tell us. So hi Shakti, welcome to the chat, and let's see what we have to bring to the table today. The last time I knew you were doing like a lot of quizzing and everything back in college and everything. So how has your journey been? How did you get into this? When did you realize your passion?
I guess it was back in 2020 when you'd have seen me do the quiz in your colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2019, 2020. So I think I came both years. So yeah. Anyways, so at that time, so I was working with a startup. We were making quizzes for schools, colleges, and doing events around quizzing, where we were doing learning programs as well as entertainment programs, which had the core as quizzing involved in it. So how it started. So I definitely give credit to school, because I didn't know something called quizzing even existed back when until grade 11. Like, it was not something which I knew. There was a big circuit, there was things which you can go participate in, nothing of that sort. So I transferred schools and went to a new school in class 11, and that's when this school was very big in quizzing. So at that time when I came, and then we started going to quizzes, I loved the entire thing. I loved the entire process which was there. I found it extremely interesting as a medium to learn new things and just exist. So that's why quizzing started happening. And then in college, when one of my friends asked me, "Hey, I'm doing something like this, do you want to join?" It was an instant yes, because I liked the fact that I could be doing something which I absolutely love and would also be getting paid for it. So it was a win-win in my book, and I just took it up. So that's how it started, and that's how we got into quizzing. And apart from the school thing which you'd seen in, I also love the teaching aspect. So we were doing something called Thinkathon, which is a year-long knowledge program which we run for school kids. So some of the top schools in the city were people whom we used to work with, and they used to provide. They used to have us do quizzing sessions once a week, where it used to be 90-minute sessions where we go teach them about something, anything quite literally. So we would go to them with 1 week with different extinct animals in the world, or something with next day about how how communication worked, or anything. It was a very diverse bunch of pretty much anything which kids would find interesting. And I love the fact that I could hold. It was an incredible opportunity to learn how to hold somebody's attention. And especially because they were kids, it was incredibly even more difficult, because kids tend to have the attention span of a goldfish. So it's very hard to hold it and just work with it as well. So it was a wonderful learning opportunity, where I used to do it for a couple of like 3-4 years.
Speaking of which, I think you handled a diverse range of audiences, right? Like school children as well, and then I think you performed in bars and other events as well.
Yeah, I will get to that. Yeah, so
I jumped ahead.
Another arm. No problem. So another arm of so the startup I was working for was called Cerebrus. So one arm of Cerebrus was called Buzzed, which was a platform which did pub quizzing as a medium of. So pub quizzing or trivia nights is a very popular concept in Europe, where people get together and there's a trivia night happening in a restaurant or a pub, where people come in and talk about, like, there are questions asked, and if you get the answer right, you get a shot, or you get something, you get a drink or a starter. Excuse me. So what happens is that this is some kind of an audience engagement medium which pubs also used to offer. So I used to do a couple of them. So yeah, I used to handle kids in the mornings, college kids in the afternoon, and then
Nice
tipsy
enough.
people in the night. Yeah, it was
Okay.
yeah, it was fun. It was. I mean, if people are curious, then I mean, yeah. So, but there's one thing which is very incredible among all three people, which connects them. So this is something I call the loading screen phase. Okay.
Okay.
So this is this is something people have when they're processing facts which they're given to them, and they have that moment when they realize something, that aha. So the 3-4 seconds before that, it's their minds working, gears turning, and then them trying to figure out what that is, and then when they hit it, there's that sense of satisfaction
That
inside their heads.
explosion on
That
their
is
face.
very
Yeah.
exactly, which is very common between school kids, uh, teenagers in high school, as well as college kids, and as well as adults. Everybody has that exact same reaction, and that is something I absolutely love watching. So yeah.
Right. That's so nice. I think you were also in some radio show called Tamilagatin Mastermind or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was just helping out
Did I
with.
jump ahead
So
again
this
before getting to that?
no problem. So right after, like, when I was working Cyprus, also one of the other things I was helping out with was this. So this was not part of Cyprus. It was somebody who knew somebody, and they just thought I could help out with that. And so this was the third season of Tamilagatin Mastermind, which is a show produced by All India Radio and hosted by Dr. C. Sumanthi Raman.
Okay.
And me and another person were helping out with the content part of it, where we were helping get the audio. Since it was an audio format, it was quite interesting because I was helping set content. I was helping figure out audio clips which you could play to help people get a question. And it was a year-long project where we worked for an entire year. I think it was some 50-something episodes or something like that, where I helped work with it. So yeah, so it was interesting to work with the government, understand how they work, and then the nuances with asking questions. The fact that quizzing had to go out for everybody, not just a few people who are considered the smartest of the bunch, or who consider themselves the smartest of the bunch. Quizzing needs to be democratized. So I feel like that was one step, a very good step to getting it to the masses, and that's one of the main reasons. It was a very fruitful experience. Yeah.
Right. And I'm just going to go ahead with this question. So it seems like after your education, you just went right into quizzing, which isn't something people normally do, right? How much did your family support you in this? Were you sure, or did you stop at any point and think like, what am I doing? Is this like feasible for the future and all?
Oh, so I have been helping out with I've been working with the quizzing startup since my second year of college, if I remember. Third year of college, I'm not sure. So that has been happening. They were very happy, like, he doesn't ask me for money, he just and then pocket money stuff.
Sustained fine.
Yeah, that's it. And then back in the fourth year of college, I had my parents want me to write the UPSC.
Okay.
Where did
But you didn't.
Sorry? No. So listen, here's the fun part. So I found it an extremely interesting idea. Okay. And then in the fourth year of college, while I was in college and was running the quizzing thingy, I also went for UPSC coachings, where I went for like every weekend. I would go from like morning 7 to evening 9, sit there, listen to stuff, and so I mean, let's face it, I absolutely love the getting to know about the world part. It was an incredible experience to know how the world worked. So know how the world worked. I know how the world worked. Understand the nuances of how the world worked, and the entire functioning, and trying to get the enormity of how because there were history papers, there were geography paper, there's quite literally everything fused together, and I found it
Right.
extremely interesting because I don't know, a lot of people have said this to me, and I also feel it. I'm an incredibly curious person. I I will not stop if I am curious about something. And it was the world for me. I was very curious about everything, and
Yeah.
I went there. So back right after college, I thought, okay, fine. I told my people at home that we're gonna say I'll write the UPSC. This is 1 year, but I'll also do the quizzing part. And they were like, ah, yeah,
Right.
okay. And then right after like some 4-5 months after college, I decided, no, I don't want it. So after
I
one
don't
year
like
of
this.
going
Right.
for, yeah, 1 year of going for the UPSC train, the training, learning, and I mean, so one thing which actually I found extremely interesting because I was one of the youngest kids in the batch of like 200 people who were there in my set for the UPSC coaching centers. It was fun because it was a lot of new people with new conversations I could have. Very, very interesting because one of my friends from there was studying developmental studies. Another friend was a doctor. Another friend was working as an automobile engineer.
Right.
It was a very diverse bunch of people, and me being the one of the youngest people over there, I got to have a lot of interesting conversations with them,
Yeah.
and that I love. And then a couple of reasons later, I decided that this was not the career path that sorry, this is not the career path I wanted to take. So I switched from there and took on the quizzing thing full time, with absolutely no idea what I was going to do next. I was like, today is done. Tomorrow
Right.
we'll think
Right.
later. So
Actually,
that's how that,
that's so
and my
similar. Yeah.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting back to my parents, I have a story for that. So
Oh, okay.
so what? Yeah. So what happened is that I have so they kind of knew that I was doing something like this. The all India radio thing was happening, something else was happening, and all of those things. But still, they didn't feel like this is not something you can
Right.
comprehend or tell and all.
Not something you
So
can tell during
uh,
weddings when they ask, "What's your son doing?"
yeah. It's very. But I didn't honestly give a damn about it.
Okay.
And then, so once what it is, I took my mom to one of the events I was doing. So this was the Q, which is one of the largest quizzes which happens in Chennai. It
Right.
happens in Bhavan Raj Vidyashram. So this was the Q. So what I did is instead of trying to explain what I do, what I used to do for a living, I just took my mother to one of these things, and it was just a bunch of like some 150 kids and me on stage and doing the entire show for the day. And she saw it, and for the next couple of months, no noise, nothing at all,
Oh,
because it was
okay.
very nice. Because the principal was there, he liked it, and all of those things.
Yeah.
Watching as a parent, I thought that was a nice experience for her to have, and she liked it. So yeah, that's what I did at that time to light a skirt and yeah.
Right, right. I was just talking about how what you're saying is so similar to me because, like, my father made me write the JEE main exam and all those exams because he thought I might have a fear of missing out if I didn't do it. And after I finished the exam, I was so scared not because I got anything wrong. I was so scared, like, what if I pass this exam? And then me doing engineering becomes an option for me. I didn't
Yeah.
pass
Oh,
JEE, that's different. But I got 2 marks.
yeah.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So, I mean, I was an electronic communications engineer, and I still don't think I know anything related to it. So,
I knew right from there, like I want to do arts, I want to be a creative person. I don't want to fit into this mold of like engineering, medical, and all of that. So just sticking to that topic, like since we are on the theme of Youth Skills Day, a lot of youth have started going out of these molds. They are like thinking out of the box. They are like going into unconventional stuff like this. So, like, do you think this trend is like good, or where do you think we are headed with this?
I think it's good because let's say, for example, I have to start with how humans evolve. Okay.
Okay.
So the fact professions as something started because humans started uh, because of farming in general. So
Yeah.
people used to be hunters and gatherers, and they settled, and then they became farmers, where one person started producing a surplus of food or grains or any something to eat, so other people could take up other livelihoods, and then they started
Yeah.
communicating with it and trying to give and get, and all those things started happening. Slowly, professions started developing. So what happens is that there's a need at certain time for certain professions, and professions itself started evolving as a result of it. Now, I believe this is purely because of the internet, but because of the internet, our parents could choose to be one profession, and all they could do is study in college, start working.
Yeah.
But right now, because the pace at which the world is going, everybody has to keep improving, has to keep moving around, has to start learning, has to keep thinking on their feet. So putting people into one bucket is not something which we can do, because the jobs which used to exist like 5 years ago are not the same right now. They are constantly evolving. The things which we work with are constantly evolving. I'm guessing everybody who's watching this will have a different phone from what they had 5 years from now. So that's
interesting.
So I mean, just the phone. So anything of that sort, it keeps evolving. So as technology evolves, the people who are behind these technologies also tend to evolve. So that is why people need to keep evolving. I think it's a great thing that people tend to, but I think that that kind of brings me to another point where people from our previous or the previous generation could choose a profession if they liked it or not and go through it. But right now, because you need to keep constantly learning, constantly evolving in a profession of your choice, it needs to be something specifically that you like putting a little bit of effort to grow. Or else it becomes a burden. It becomes all the more work to do it. And that's pretty much not sustainable. So that's why I think it's a great thing where it also is required that people find out what they like and then go into choosing. Because I've had friends who come out of college and then they be like, hey, I studied computer science, I will only do software engineering, and then they become a software engineer for like 6 years, and then they decide like, hey guys, I don't think I like it, I think I like design. And then they have one like guy, and then they're a bit entrenched. They don't, it's because it's been a lot of years, they feel scared to make that switch. They feel comfortable, they feel scared, and then they also feel sad. So it's a mix. They're always in that grumpy state of, I don't like what I do, but I do it for a living kind of a situation, which they don't tend to like. So so that's pretty much what.
But
so
at
I
the
think it's
same
a great
time, like sticking to that, do you think the tolerance level of the youth of today is like really low? Because I know a friend who used to work in corporate, and then like she just felt she doesn't have a personal life. She felt like people were owning her literally, because even during holidays, her clients were calling her. They were just asking for stuff. So she's like, I'm not even going to work for a corporate. I'm going to be my boss from now on. And she turned to full-time freelance. So this is again an unconventional thing. But do you think the tolerance level is really low for the youth these days? They don't take bullshit from anyone.
A lot of corporate companies at this point believe in something called work-life integration, where they believe we will provide you with something which you would like, we will provide you with something which you want to have, but you'll work for it. I believe it has to be not work-life balance, but there has to be separation. It's I keep calling it separation of church and state inside my head, but yeah. So there needs to be a clear demarcation, because people need to unwind as well. You cannot. So I feel like that is one problem a lot of people had when they were working from home, because people started feeling that they weren't working from home, but they were just sleeping at work. So that's a bit problematic, where you don't have that time to de-stress. I'll give you a reason why it's actually beneficial to companies as well. A lot of times, a lot of good decisions, good bonding which happens for the benefit of the company, or people who have chats about where the future of the company is going to go, or work ideas, especially if you're doing something which involves a teeny tiny bit of creative energy. It happens when you're not working. It happens when you're doing something absolutely mundane. Let's say you're washing dishes or riding the bike, or I don't know, taking a dump or something like that. That is exactly when you will have that one thought which will spark something which it can be
moment, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. Coming back to the loading screen phase. Yeah. So that's the aha moment. Yeah. Yeah. It's called a callback. So
what I was saying.
Yeah. So what happens is that we tend to miss out on these companies tend to miss out on these things where they keep constantly bombarding you with work.
Yeah.
They you need to and I feel like the youth trying to, not give, like, have low tolerance levels is actually great for them, because it means they're choosing to live life rather than sleep at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's why I feel like, so freelancing is great. It's a whole other journey to take. It's
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a stability problem which might come in over there, but I think that can be dealt with if you have
Yeah.
your finances planned and all of those things, if you sort it out. And yeah, I mean, the concept of community also comes in when you start going into communities which are there for work, and then you have
Yeah.
meetings over there, and I think it's addressable. I mean, if so, I'll give you. Stop me from talking too much. Okay, I'm just
Okay.
so. What happens is that when a field becomes a little bit new, or it's a newly emerging field,
Yeah.
there aren't a lot of people who work in it.
Right.
There are only few people who are considered specialists in it. So what tends to happen is that there is more work and less people. So there's a
Yeah.
bigger chunk of the pie which people can take by freelance. That's why
Yeah.
you have a lot of emerging fields which have a lot of freelancers involved in them, rather than these existing fields. Like, let's say a logistic company will not have a logistic freelancer. There will be set process and practices which you can just plug and start working under. But
Yeah.
let's say something like a UX designer, which I also have. But so all of those things, there's a bigger part of the pie you can take by
Yeah.
being a freelancer, and you can set your own hours, you can do what you want, you
Yeah.
can choose the clients you work with, you can choose the pay you work with, you pay you work for, you can choose the timings you work with. All of those things, when they're when they're under the control of the person, of you yourself, it becomes a great thing for people to do, because it would really mean good for everybody. It's a win-win for everybody involved. Companies get their work
Right.
done. Companies get their work done. People stay happy. Nothing goes bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So also sticking to the point about the pandemic, which you mentioned in the middle, which was around when a lot of people started making this change. What was the change like for you? Because you used to go in person to so many schools, that physical connection itself was like a major part of everything. How did you transition everything into the digital world? And how did this online medium help you maintain a smooth transition of everything?
Uh, right after COVID hit, the first month itself, we developed a program which would work online. The
Right.
exact same thing which would work online. But then what happens is that there were two big fields which got hit massively during the pandemic, which was education and events, which is the only two
Yeah.
fields which has worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was in a very bad place. And then so it was we ran it a little bit. We ran a couple of months of sessions, and then it was not the effort that you put in for the return that you get started becoming, there's a bit of there's a whole lot of mismatch to that. So yeah, so we eventually decided that it would, it would not makes it was a tough decision, but
Right.
yeah, we thought it's time to set things on pause and then see what happens and then decide.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's also exactly when I also quit and moved on to a new role. So
Okay.
what happens is that social media helped us greatly with that. Social media helped us understand. So that was the first time I was trying to capitalize on the fact that social media was there to get
Okay.
to reach out to students, to reach out to parents, to tell them that, hey, this thing was happening, and then
Yeah.
figuring that out, and then trying to understand all of these things. And social media also helps you bring a lot of strangers together,
Definitely. Yeah.
because you never know who is one connection that you will meet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's when I quit, and then I joined a startup in Bangalore which focused on life and personal development, and helps people understand what they really want to do with their lives.
Right.
So they had a lot of interest, they had quite a bit of interesting projects which they were doing. One of the projects I worked with was called Ikigai.
Okay.
which is the I think you've heard of the very famous book called Ikigai.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So this person had taken the concept and transformed it into a pack of playing cards, a pack of playing cards.
Okay.
So which you could use, which had actionable questions and things you could reflect upon with yourself, and things you could ask a friend, or stuff like that, which would actually get you to learn more about yourself. So I worked with him for a little bit in understanding and helping out with that. And on that project is when I started thinking, hey Shakti, what is your Ikigai?
Right, right.
I think that's one question everybody has to ask themselves.
Yeah.
Where people need to know what, and a couple of people from a couple of different organizations also help me figure out my Ikigai, where a person from and a startup accelerator I work for SPI Edge also helped sat with me, walked me through the entire Ikigai process, helped me figure out what I really wanted to do
Okay.
in life. And yeah, so that greatly helped. And then after that, in June 2021, I quit. And then
Okay.
I stayed. Yeah, and then I took some time to learn,
Okay.
where I did not. Yeah, I was pretty much just learning, taking courses online, trying to understand what is this. So that's when I decided. So one thing which I understood was that like I said, I'm incredibly curious about things, and that in turn means that I'm going to be uh, I need new things in life which will keep me excited. And
Yeah.
one of the things which led me to that is something called user experience research, where you
Okay.
try understanding how people react to certain things on screen, like let's say
Right.
an app, or product, or anything of that sort. So yeah, that's pretty much how I started and ended it. And social media helped me greatly there, because social media helped me figure out a mentor, figure out resources, figure out newsletters, books, videos, uh,
Yeah.
Twitter accounts I can follow, Instagram pages I can follow,
Communities, maybe. I found
meet
so many communities.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly meetups I can go to understand what is happening, build connections,
Yeah.
and then through which stuff I could leverage on,
Yeah.
understand about it. Just get on a call with somebody. So there was one point where I used to just sit for a day, and just, if I see a website or something like that which I don't like, I would just find out who the designer is and then text them like, hey, I think this is there. I'd love to know why you took that decision. Yeah, I'd love to
Okay.
know why you took that decision. Because because I was just starting out and I wanted to know what people. So if there's something which I think could be great, I wanted to know why they thought the other, because there's a train of
Right.
thought which they would have followed to get there. So I was very curious about it, because I may be right, I
Right.
may be wrong. If I'm right, they get to learn, and I also get to feel validated. But if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, I get to learn, which
Right.
is a win-win for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I used to hit them up. I used to ask them questions about it, and it's great because I made a lot of connections through that as well.
Yeah. Seriously, speaking of
So
connections, I
yeah,
got to know you as well through social media, and even the event for which I had
yeah,
invited you for, even that got a lot of like people attending the event because of our social media promotions. So it
yeah,
really expands your
exactly.
reach a lot.
Absolutely. So making communities and then building communities is the absolute future of where we're going,
Yeah.
where social media is going to become the place where people come to find friends, find like-minded people,
Yeah.
understand about things, bond over stuff. And yeah, exactly. I mean, it all directs to what I'm doing right now as well, which we will come back to.
Right. Okay, so great then. That's pretty much it from my end. Is there anything else you wanted to add on? Like, what are your plans for the future and what are you working on right now, basically?
So, I mean, to end that journey in a loop. So, I now work with a place called Level Up Learning. We're an online
Okay.
platform which helps people learn from the best, where we get people who are the absolute best in their fields
Right.
to come and teach courses. These are online pre-recorded courses which you can buy,
Oh, okay.
and
Kind of like an academy of
so
for that.
So it's something a little bit more. So I had product experience there. I
Okay.
help manage the entire building of the app, trying to understand the customer, trying to remind them, trying to understand how you can make the conversation better for the experience better people in the app. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I do. And we are actually launching. We would have launched by the time this video has come out. So please do check out leveluplearning.in. And yeah, so we have courses from quite little.
Such smooth self-promo. Okay.
Yeah. Good segue. So we have courses from Karthik Subaraj, G. Venkatram, and Anthony, and Ravi Basroor, and a lot of other people as well. So please do feel free to check us out. And yeah, I mean, my social media handles are open. If you guys don't like anything, please be me. Please text me if you don't like something so that I can learn from it. Okay. So that is that. And yeah, so my plans for the future, I really don't have. So I mean, eventually I want to go back to teaching. I want to teach.
Okay.
I look forward to the crowd, the classroom. I love teaching people. It comes back to that loading screen phase. I miss it in my current job.
Right.
I would love to.
I think the definition itself would have changed for you, because in real life you can see their loading screen phase, whereas when you move to the online medium, their video is literally loading.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's lovely to watch it online.
Okay, cool. Then thank you so much for taking time out for this. We seriously gained a lot of insights. I would say my biggest takeaway from what you said is just going with the flow, which you have said many times with your segues and everything. Yeah. I would say the youth of the future should just go with the flow.
So it's always good to have a plan which you can upgrade or adapt. So it's great if you don't have a really solid, really rigid plan.
Yeah.
If it's flexible, it's good. So that's pretty much all I want to do. Thank you so much. This is actually very fun.
We had a lot of fun too. Thank you so much for this session.